This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Munich, September 30th, 1938. Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain abandons the people of Czechoslovakia to the whims of a monstrous dictator named Adolf Hitler. The war that followed shook the earth to its very foundations. Washington, September 30th, 2023. Republicans demand that America abandon the people of Ukraine to the whims of a monstrous dictator named Vladimir Putin. History has taught us the cost of appeasement, destruction, oppression, death. For decades, the Republican Party fought the agents of tyranny.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
That all ended when their party leaders sounded more like a dictator than a president who benefited from Russian interference and returned the favor with support of Russian oppression.
It's great to be with you.
President Joe Biden has stood with the Ukrainian people in their fight against Putin, upholding the ideals that America was founded on, ideals that so many fought and died to defend. The choice in 2024 is no longer between two political parties. It's between freedom and oppression, between war and peace. The stakes have never been higher. The cost has never been greater. The choice has never been more clear. It's us or them.
Yeah, so basically, there is no quote unquote good women. They're all mixed, just like we are. There's no good woman who's not going to cheat on you, who's going to love you for the rest of your life, who's going to be committed and true. Maybe you can find that, but they all look at your bank account first. And that's what my experience is. A lot of them won't, like I have a girlfriend now, right? I just learned after 20 some odd years of a sexual relationship, no one in her life knows about me. I'm basically don't exist in her other life. So it's just, it's fine with me. It's just about sex. That's great. If you meet a woman like that, that's great. I'm willing to put up with that. Certainly not breaking up with her because all she wants is sex. So, but for a long time, she tried to deceive me as if, we were actually in a relationship. But the truth is, as Orion how you say his name? Orion
Caravan
says, if you're rich and good looking, she'll offer you sex and a relationship. If you're good looking but not rich, she will offer you sex but no relationship. If you're rich but not good looking, she'll offer you a relationship, but sex will be a rare occurrence. And if you're neither good looking nor you have resources and money, she will offer you nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the category of sex but no money with this woman. And but poor women will hop on you. And because when you think about it, for a poor woman, getting married to a man is like hitting the jackpot. It's like winning hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. And that strikes me. And then, you get support and all, but if she gets tired of you, which obviously does happen, then how do they say it online? You get to exit the marriage and with cash and prizes that
Yes,
go
that's
with you. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a legal problem even, but it is a strange incentive that the idea of marriage is that you're supposed to stay in the relationship. And but here we have the marriage contract, certainly in California, but most states provides that incentive to leave for women, And now the public divorce of Kevin Costner and the issue of will the prenuptial agreement be adhered to or not? That's frustrating for me to even hear about it, because it's like, okay, this is a contract to the contract, you should follow it. So
Yes.
anyway, that's my 2 cents. But yeah, a lot of women, they definitely want resources is at the core of what they want. They'd rather the guy be handsome and all of that, of course, but it's a woman with a child and so is much more willing to chat with you and get to know you than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, so yeah, okay, go ahead, Jeffrey. Turn on your camera and let's hear from you. There you are, buddy.
I think there should be laws for gold diggers in the case of divorces. Like the gold diggers should not even get a cent of the person's money.
Yeah, Richard, not Rollo Tomasi actually did a video. I was gonna show it to you. I can try and look it up, but basically what he said is that women actually hate gold diggers because they give away the game. That's essentially what he says. They give away the game. They're so obvious about it, and so that's why women don't like gold diggers, because it's just too obvious what they're doing. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Welcome.
Yeah, go ahead and turn off your camera now. Hey. So Joseph, I know you got to have an opinion on this. Do you want to chime in?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I don't have a working camera, so you'll just have to listen to my voice.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder to what extent this is conscious, right? So you're talking about the hypergamy and all of this. I wonder, so I'm not an expert on this, but some people talk about evolutionary psychology and how the way we behave is a product of evolution, right? But of course, back before humans knew about genetics, right? We didn't know that we were doing certain things in order to pass on our genes, right?
Right.
That wasn't the conscious intention, even if maybe that was an unconscious intention. So, I mean, to be honest, I haven't been keeping up with the reading, because does the book say anything about to what extent this is conscious or unconscious?
So we just skipped to page 244. So don't worry about not keeping up with the reading. We just skipped most of the book and went to 154, but we're going to go back. I think it does, and I think Rollo Tomasi himself would have a different opinion than I do. Rollo Tomasi would say, this is genetic, this is not genetic or evolutionary. That these evolutionary psychologists, a lot of these red pill guys, are betting that women can't change. And as I've said, raising consciousness, we've had our consciousness raised as men about our sexuality. Women can have their consciousness raised too. I wanted to tell you a story about this one woman who asked me to be friends first. And when I mentioned that, good, split the bill, she said, oh, I want a traditional relationship. And then she went into this explanation that I think Rollo Tomasi would have said. So she's perfectly conscious of this. That woman was, at least the one I was talking to. She said, women have needed a protector and a provisioner in there when they've gone out. And so that's why we want, we desire that you pay for us. And I said, because when we have children, we need a provider to make sure that our children will have what they need to prosper and survive. And I basically told you, we're not having children. There's no children coming out of this. You're not a poor woman. You're rich. You're well off. So they could know this and yet demand it anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah. So and that's it, but it's the same thing that Rollo Tomasi would say. But a lot of these red pills will excuse these women. In fact, I look at it as an excuse for bad behavior. It's what Rollo Tomasi was just talking about, and I criticize him for it. Basically, that we're giving them, we're just making excuses for them. And if we look at it and we think about, well, why is Rollo Tomasi and why do the 1%, why do the rich not care about this as much? Because the money means nothing to them and they get to have sex with whoever they want. And it benefits the rich that women serve the rich and seek rich guys. And the money doesn't matter to them. So, but to the rest of us, it does. And I went to, part of my trip to Lake Tahoe was to go to Virginia City. And in Virginia City, I did a tour of the Washoe Club, which was the Millionaires Club. It was featured on Ghost Adventures. It's haunted, supposedly. And so I went on a tour, and there's this story of a blue lady that comes down the stairs. And what that was is that the Millionaires Club had some of the richest guys come in. I mean, the Ulysses S. Grant, some of the richest guys would come to Lake Tahoe, come to Virginia City, and they had this Washoe Club. Now, what learned was that there were like 40,000 men and only 40 available women in the town. But this woman in the blue dress was having an affair with one of the married rich guy. And so one day she was coming down the stairs and the wife of that rich guy came up behind her and slit her throat all the way to the back flap of her neck, essentially decapitating her. And later I thought, that woman deserved that. 40,000 men, all available, all single. And she has to go have an affair with a rich guy and try to steal that another woman's husband. This is hypergamy. So, so that's kind of what I think is we need to be aware of. And I want, next time I go there, I'm going to provoke that ghost. And we'll say, you deserve to die. If you got 40,000 single men and you're trying to steal another woman's husband because he's rich. So, and it's not to denigrate women or anything like that. It's to say, hey, let's be aware, let's be conscious, and maybe you should be conscious. Maybe women should be conscious. I think we need a consciousness raising. And
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you that the same the definitely women, I think, need to undergo the same kind of I don't know, the same kind of reprogramming that we men have undergone as a result of, feminism and Me Too and all of that, right? Because it does seem to me that a lot of feminism today is basically, or I think I might be thinking more of like 1990s feminism when I was growing up, but a lot of it was it seemed to me really about encouraging all the worst traits of men in
mhm,
women, right? Being aggressive, being really careerist, being a girl boss, all of that. So I do agree that there has to be kind of a cultural shift. Now, another thing I was wondering about was whether that might already be underway in the US. Because I remember I was talking to a friend of mine um, who he's been in lots of places. He's visited lots of different countries, and we were actually kind of talking about I think you might remember him, Michael from the Think meetup. He was the original um, host of the Think meetup before I took over.
okay.
Anyway, I actually mentioned that you were doing this series, and we were talking a bit about some of those issues, and he was saying, in um so he's living in China right now,
Okay.
and he was saying that um you know in the US nowadays, if you're, say, in a bar with a woman, and I don't know, some guy is checking her out or something, and if you like pick a fight with him and start brawling and stuff just over that, it's likely afterwards, I mean, who knows how she really feels about it, but it's likely afterwards, like, she'll be kind of upset. She'll say, you're immature and stuff like that. In China, if in the same situation, if a guy, if you're in a bar, say, with a woman, and someone's checking her out, and you don't um make a big deal out of it, she'll actually be kind of annoyed that you're not, being the kind of chivalrous kind of defending your woman kind of thing. And so I do wonder whether um in the US we are a bit closer to that kind of cultural shift than in other countries.
I think I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for that, but I think Europe is far ahead of us, and that
Okay.
the red pill is in Europe is much more popular. You talk to guys in Europe, they know about it. We here don't know about it, or we've been fed this negativity where they want to tell us how misogynist these people are and how dangerous they are, but they're really just speaking. A lot of them are just speaking the truth. One thing that I studied feminism, as you know, Joseph, and what women have done is they've sacrificed the principle of equality on the altar of self-interest. So they have went ahead and defined feminism as pursuing women's interest, and in so doing have removed the principle of equality from the equation, because equality is not really what women want. I think I mentioned the draft. Women can serve. They do serve, and they probably should serve. They certainly don't want our relationships to be equal. They want them still to be based on traditional. A lot of women will say they want a traditional relationship. And yeah, so and there was something else I was going to say too. But those are the so. But what we can do here, because what we need here is a Me Too moment for men. I mean, I think really that's part of what I did with the thing on the sexual abuse. We need a Me Too moment for men. And somehow the red pill movement is a Me Too movement for men. For some, it's I got screwed in my divorce. For me, it's I got screwed as a little kid and as a young man, and this is what happened to me. And in my experience, the red pill is really put together and helped me to understand what happened to me and why it happened. And so it put my experience into context and helped to explain it all. And so for men, there's a crisis, but in this Me Too moment, we need to not be afraid to stand up to women. And what we've learned is by standing up to women, they respect us. When I was harassed and people were, all these women were trying to make me post nude against my will, there's one thing I knew: they had no respect for me. They were going to humiliate me, and they all were chasing me. This was, and in my mind, as I was running away from it, I thought of the irony of this. There's so many guys who would want to be chased by a group of women, but what they were really doing was trying to get me to come back so they could do it to the next guy. So, and once if they all said, "Oh, Richard, we're so, oh, here's your feelings," oh, and maybe even give me some physical affection, they would have no respect for me. So women have very little respect for men. And the only way that women will respect us is if we stand up to them. And so, so we know this, that women like jerks. So all this fear about, oh, if I say something wrong, these women will attack me. They'll give me that look like I talked about earlier. And I will feel like I've done something wrong and so forth. We've got to have the courage to stand up to women, because the only way we change because we were forced to change, because the women brought it to our attention how we behaved and how we were acting in an oppressive manner. Okay, the same thing women will not change unless they're confronted, and they will not respect you unless they're confronted. So that's what I think is a powerful thing for the men's movement. And we need it not to be this conservative, let's get rid of the 19th Amendment group either, you know. And they're like you said, Joe, in your presentation, how it leaves that the emptiness, the lack of the self-help movement and the rejection of the self-help movement hurts. We're coming to the end of our meeting, actually, and I guess the main point is we did if you could write that letter, or I will come up with something. I'm thinking about trying to start a campaign. What I'd like to do is put billboards up, and Jeffrey also has his fundraiser. He put a link in there to that. I haven't created my fundraiser yet, but I'd like to maybe do a billboard campaign that says "Men are not dogs," and then to call human beings a dog is derogatory and dehumanizing, and then maybe have an image of one of the Veronica insurance advertisements where she portrays the woman as a dog. And I'll give you, let me put that in the chat. So I'll give you that info again here. And oops, that didn't work. So in any case, and here's the link to the documents and the information, if you haven't got that link yet, that you can use to craft your letter. I will craft one and I will put it up too. But put billboards up, you know, men are not dogs. And even if it's past the Veronica's insurance, there's always a way to put it up there. And I think we can get a lot of women on our side. I mean, women are not so evil that they only want to hurt men. There will be women who will side with us And especially if we put it like, men are not dogs. There will be women who will make jokes about that. There'll be women who will be pissed off about that. There'll be a woman who will insist that men are dogs. But there'll be a lot of women that say, no, of course men are not dogs. And I think, so it's not like we're going up against this vast conspiracy that's going to shut us down automatically. I think we have principle on our side, and we're not coming off as conservative. We're just coming in and say we're not dogs. And so I think that would be a good campaign to start. I'm going to work on getting us a nonprofit status so we can do things like that. You have anything else to say, Eric?
Let's see. No. Yeah, good discussion. And just maybe another time, the issue of feminism view of, is it women's equality or women's interest or even women's dominance? I mean, I think there's a lot of ideas floating out there with a lot of different women. So there might be different levels that they accept that. Yeah.
I went to a concert when I was in Reno, and it was Jefferson Starship. And of course, they have a new lead singer. You know, a lot of the original members have died, but they have this new lead singer, a woman, and she sung this song, "It's Time for Women to Rule the World." And I flipped her off.
Yeah.
Because essentially, I don't want a Donna Trump any more than I want a Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And to rule the world, it's the people, not women.
Yeah.
The people. Men, women, even children. So listen to these things, and they would say, "Oh, well, you don't mean that," or BS. You know, don't say it if you don't mean it. But the point is that, you know, these are people who have decided that they're going to pursue their self-interest, and equality to be damned. You know, and that is what happened when they started to say, "Oh, there's this socialist feminism, libertarian feminism, liberal feminism, Marxist feminism." You know, everything is a subset of feminism. And basically, socialism takes over anything that it touches. So, so they put feminism first. So they're not feminists first. They're socialists first. They're liberals first. They're libertarians first. They're not feminists first. And feminism has become, because they can't really pursue equality, because if they pursue equality, that would mean being drafted. That would mean having to pay for things. That would mean not getting special benefits or special treatment because they're females. They don't really want that type of equality. You know, and
I think that's right. Yeah, I just you know, paying for the meals, and you know, in terms of dating and that sort of thing, and or if you're married, pay half the mortgage, or however that works out, half your salary or same percentage of salary, etc. You know, I don't think they want that. I mean, hard to say based on anecdotal evidence, but fine. Where are the women that are clamoring to do that? You know, I haven't heard. Yeah. They don't want equality. And so,
oh, Donald, you're broke and busted. A fraud, a con, a low-rent rip-off artist. We've always known it. So have you. Now America knows it. The courts are shutting down your crooked shell companies in New York. Bank fraud, insurance fraud. You know those are crimes, right, Donald? They're dissolving the whole Trump Organization scam right from under you. Bankruptcy won't save you this time. You'll have to sell off everything. You might even lose control of that dump Trump tower. No one will lend you money, Donald. They won't even let you hand it over to Junior or Eric. Never mind Ivanka. She hates you. Everything you ever built was built on a lie. You were never rich, never successful. New York is laughing at you. Always has, always will. And now everyone knows it. Broke, busted, the loser in chief.